everyone, it's me, Sin Munoz. Welcome to Low-Key Unhinged podcast, a personal guide to all things pop culture. I'm catching up with you every week on our favorite shows and hot takes with some of our favorite unhinged people. Tune in every week wherever you stream your podcast and follow Low-Key Unhinged on all social platforms. See you next time. Ciao. Hey everyone, welcome in. We are episode 1 of Happily Ever After 90 Day. Now, they really kicked things off on this season, and it was pretty cool for us to see, for the first time ever, 3 different couples filming together. So I'm quite confident a producer came up with this genius idea and said, hey, some of these storylines can get a little boring, a little dry, Loren and Alexei, and let's spice things up. If we have multiple couples involved, it's not going to slow down. There will always be plenty of drama going on. And so they brought in these 3 couples and had them film. And this is the first time we've seen something like this, which I actually didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty interesting. A little weird. Wasn't expecting to see that Libby and Loren apparently are pretty good friends or have been friends for years. But nonetheless, I was excited to see them filming. So they start the season off by focusing on Andrei and Libby. So Andrei and Libby, in the past, we've seen tons of drama and chaos with Libby's family, which has been so unfortunate. If anyone's missed it, Andrei has essentially attacked Libby's brother. Now, whether Libby's brother deserved it or not is a different story. But nonetheless, I'm not really sure why anybody would get into a physical altercation with their partner's brother or family member, for that matter. But that happened. And so there's been a lot of estrangement there. And essentially, they seem to be quite isolated, which is actually very sad, but something that Libby seems to have sort of allowed, I guess, to happen. Well, now Andrei has come up with this idea that they really should go to Moldova. He came here to the US, so now it's Libby's turn to go ahead and do the same for him and uproot everything, leave everything behind in Florida, and go ahead and move to Moldova with the kids. He focuses on the fact that they would have such a big support system. There's a lot of family there, and really harps on the fact that it's so inexpensive. Well, Andrei, we can understand why. So whether he likes it or not, Florida's a pretty flourishing state. There is a lot to do, especially in a place like Tampa where they're from. And there's a lot of opportunities. There's beaches. There's different wildlife parks for the kids. She has a lot of family support there. Well, had family support there. And so there's a reason why certain parts of the world, or this country for that matter, are more expensive than others. That part of Florida being one of them. And so it may be more inexpensive, but cheaper is not necessarily better. Libby seems hesitant. However, she also agrees to be open-minded about it, somewhat on board. She has agreed to go visit with the family and take the kids with them, spend some time there, and see if Moldova is something that she can do. She really leans on Loren and Yara in this episode and really is trying to get some feedback, perspective on what they think of the matter. Obviously, Yara being from the similar region of the world, tries to see what she thinks about that. Yara essentially calls her crazy, asks her why in the world she would ever move somewhere like there. So I think that was kind of jarring for Libby, kind of eye-opening, but, not going to deter her. Loren, very vocal, very much against it, telling her it's a terrible idea. Now, Libby went asking for perspective, so I think it's important to give an honest opinion. I think as a friend, you also want to try to find a balance of support, and clearly Libby's interested. Clearly Andrei, who is very, very dominant in the relationship, is pushing for this. So it seems like they're going to go visit regardless. And I think there should maybe be a little bit more of a balance from the girls' opinions to also be supportive. And Yara eventually gets there, which I think is nice of her because she's understanding that, hey, look, Libby is going to go for this. And so we might as well be a little supportive, let Libby decide for herself if that's something that's going to work for her or not. They get a little bit on board. Andrei's ecstatic for this. He's really excited to go, leave Libby's family behind. That's kind of his whole spiel. And Libby's somewhat agreeing to it. So Andrei is not super happy that she's leaning on her friends for support, doesn't really get it, doesn't understand why she's talking to people. But as women know, of course you're going to lean on your friends. Of course you're going to want their perspective. And it's not to make your decision based off what they think, but it is just another angle. And I think that's where men and women differentiate so much. We really lean on getting some different angles and perspectives from our friends, and men kind of just, I think, operate a little more solo, which is fine, but I think it's just a difference of women versus men and how we analyze and make our decisions. And so Andrei doesn't love that part, but Libby stands pretty firmly on that that's what she wants to do. So we get to see that. Kind of exciting. See how that's going to turn out. Then we move on to some of my favorite duos from the past, Georgi and Darcey. Very, very, very unpopular opinion. I've kind of been a Georgi fan. I have really liked him thus far until this season. So I always felt that Georgi was actually a bit misunderstood, unfairly judged, and misconceptions about him. Well, we see him in this season of Happily Ever After, and not a big fan of how he's been acting towards Darcey. I think he has changed a little bit. He seems, or I guess maybe I'm seeing what everyone else has been seeing, which is this kind of elaborate, money-fueled, gaudy guy who's possibly interested in finances more than his love for Darcey. I really don't want to think that about him, but the whole zebra printed blouse, V-neck down to his belly button, essentially, the diamond rosaries, it just was a bit much. And he really didn't seem to be so interested in Darcey, her wants, preparing for her upcoming birthday. He kind of was just about himself. And I guess maybe I just saw a little bit more of what everyone else has seen. And I wasn't a big fan. I didn't really like that about him. Whether people like Darcey and Stacey or not, I adore them. I think they're so endearing. They seem so sweet. I think at the core, they're genuinely really sweet women. And I'm hoping to get to see a little bit more of that side of Darcey. Also, they're a little bit crazy. They wouldn't be on the show if they weren't. But I am a fan of theirs. We also get to see a very interesting scene in which the turkey leg comes into the clip, and I do not understand what Darcey was thinking. It was disgusting. It was slimy. It was greasy and drippy and gross. There was nothing attractive about it, but Darcey somehow found a way to essentially say that it was a turn on of hers. It was gross. It was definitely gross. I'm not really sure that could have possibly been a turn on of hers. I think she's just saying that to help stroke his ego for some odd reason. But it was gross nonetheless, and I'm pretty sure that everyone else would agree. We really didn't need to see that. I don't think anyone wanted to see that. But turkey leg nonetheless. The episode continues on, and we just kind of see Georgi be a bit aloof towards her. Didn't really love it, but I guess that's kind of just what everyone has been saying this entire time. Next, we have Yara and Jovi. Super, super excited to see them this season. Super excited to see that they finally made the move to Florida. So Yara has been, as we know, very, very adamant about getting out of Louisiana. There's nothing for her there. She's alone. She's isolated. There's nothing to do. And she's not wrong. And so now they'd made the move. Very reluctantly, Jovi left his mama and they headed over to Miami. And we see them thriving in this episode. Yara looks great. She's on the beach. They're playing with little Mila, whichever they call her. Anyways, so they're all on the beach. It's so cute. And I think Yara's really onto something. She's started her own business. Apparently it's for dogs luxury items, and they don't have a dog. Kind of weird. Don't really get that part, but she's starting her own business, and props to her for doing that, because that's not an easy thing to do. And I think Miami's going to be a great place for that. If anyone has been to Miami, you know that people there really do love their pets. It's a very luxury city, very glamorous, kind of similar to Beverly Hills in its own way. and New York, and people in those major cosmopolitan cities, they love their dogs. So I think that she really genuinely has a great idea. I think it could really take off. And Jovi needs to be a little bit more supportive, but we know how Jovi is, and he's just not that way. So he seems still a little bit perturbed at the fact that they did finally move to Miami. They left Louisiana. They left his mom. Not super stoked that they lost all the support that they had there. But at the same time, Yara makes a point to say, Jovi is gone 6 months out of the year, which is a lot. And she considers herself to be a single mom during that time. And I would agree with her. If you don't have your partner there to help you raise your child, do the day-to-day things, get them ready, feed them, bathe them, read to them, play with them. If you're not there for that 6 months out of the year, you kind of are a single mom, essentially. And so although I understand why Jovi wouldn't want to lose all that support, at the same time, he's not really there. She is doing the child rearing. And so I think it's important to keep mom happy. And mom wants to be in Miami, and now they're in Miami. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to see everything take off for them and see where they end up. Next on the list, we have Gino and Jasmine and their side pieces, Matt and Natalie. Very weird, very strange storyline. I think most people would agree, especially people on Reddit. Seems really staged, seems really fake. Matt and Jasmine, there's a connection there. You can kind of see some chemistry. It's still a weird storyline, but, there is some feelings there and you can kind of see their chemistry. Gino and Natalie. Now, this is the most staged couple I think we've ever seen. Well, I guess we did see the throuple recently. Outside of the throuple, which that was weird in itself. Gino and Natalie have to be one of the most staged couples on 90 Day in the franchise. It is so cringy and gross and uneasy seeing them interact. There's absolutely no reason why Natalie would have an interest in Gino outside of the cameras being there. So we see them falling apart as husband and wife, deterioration of their marriage, and we see, I guess, their relationships with their new partners, the side pieces, and we see Gino go to Vegas and meet Natalie for the first time. It's cringe, it's weird. I don't know if that was genuinely the first time they met, but it was very awkward. And so I guess it could have been, or they just genuinely don't have any chemistry, and that's really the best that they could do. He tells her how gorgeous she is and how impressed he is by her looks, and she calls him cute. Now, we know what that means. Cute is code for I want to be nice, and this is as good as it gets. And so here we are, this strange square of a love going on. And we see Matt and Jasmine cohabitating. They're living together. Gino has kicked her out of the house, and she is now living with him. While she's living with him, she harps on the fact that she loves Gino. It's her husband. It's weird. It's cringy. I do feel like that's probably fake. There's a lot of rumors going around on Reddit that they really think that Jasmine's already in Miami. So that's just another couple that is likely in Miami. But they make it seem like she's not. She hasn't moved to Miami yet. But, there's a lot of conspiracies going on whether or not that has happened. I guess within time we will see on this series that she likely is going to be in Florida already. So she's living with Matt. Weird dynamic. Keeps calling him her friend. Obviously, it's not her friend. But the whole thing is weird and just so fake and staged, especially with Natalie and Gino. Natalie shares with Gino in this episode that she's been divorced twice and she calls all her exes toxic. Well, that would track. That would make the most sense as to why anyone would go onto the show and fake date Gino. So there we are. Next, we see Kara and Guillermo. And Kara and Guillermo are such a cute couple. I was really excited to see them on this season. I was really excited to see them flourishing as a couple, doing well, and what they've been up to. And it's really not off to a good start. It's really just a tragic story to start off with. They're not doing well. They're in a bad place. They're sleeping in separate rooms. They've been dealing with a lot of struggles as a married couple. And it's just sad. We see Guillermo really want to launch a career for himself. He quit his job that had a lot of benefits. It had a lot of perks and safety nets for his family, insurance for his son and his wife. And he was unfulfilled, unhappy, and he quit. And although I would be very supportive of my partner wanting to pursue their dreams in the career, I did understand where Kara was very frustrated and felt like he dropped the ball there. He really lost these benefits and insurance for his wife and kid, and it wasn't really the responsible thing to do, and I would have to agree with her. I think at the very least he should have found another gig that would allow for him to have the same benefits. And now that he's working at a restaurant, it's just not the case. And so she's very frustrated with him. Guillermo is on this journey of being a pilot. He wants to pursue that dream. Unfortunately for him, it's something that's going to cost around $60,000, and they just don't have the money for it. So that in itself is a problem, but he really shares a sentimental story about how his father used to work on planes when he was younger, and he really was always so hopeful to get into the industry, but that was something he just was not able to do in his home country. And now he feels like being in the US, he could have the opportunity to do that. Kara seemed to shut that down pretty harshly. She seemed very uninterested in helping be supportive towards that, or even maybe assisting him in finding some alternatives to that cost. And she really harps on the fact that he has kind of just been in this place of jumping around different careers, not locking anything in, wanting to start this venture, not completing it, wanting to start that venture, not completing it. And she has a point, and it's valid, but he does seem quite interested, quite passionate. And I think that as a wife and the mother of his child, I think giving him that opportunity to believe in him, to say maybe this is the one thing that he really leans into, and being supportive towards that. And she really wasn't. And it just really wasn't great to see. I think that them getting married after the 90 days, having baby Nico several months later, getting a house together, Guillermo living in a new country, I think it was just a lot. And I think any couple would kind of struggle through these really big, major life changes. So it's understandable, but they have not done a great job at sticking together and trying to face the problem as a couple. They really just fell off, and they seem to be in a bad place. We do see them going peach picking, which is kind of random. Usually I see apple picking, but they went to go peach pick. And Guillermo harps on the fact that he is going to enjoy some peaches. She didn't get his joke. He then explains his joke, and she tells him to knock it off. And I felt like it was kind of a sad moment because, I mean, come on, it wasn't anything serious. It was very lighthearted. You could have gone along with it, but she seems so closed off and kind of just fed up with him that even in that moment, rather than be lighthearted and kind of indulge into this like silly, playful joke, she didn't. She breaks down multiple times. She's sad, and it really is just a sad situation. She explains that they had gone to therapy, and in therapy, the therapist had told both of them, "I'm sure you're both here because you love one another," to which she replied, "Yes, of course." And Guillermo was unsure. And she let him know he should have never said that. He apologizes. He says, "I'm so sorry. I really shouldn't have said that. I didn't mean it." But she just can't let that go. I can understand how that would have been hurtful. I can understand how it's going to take time to let something like that go. I think he has a lot to prove, a lot to rebuild. But sometimes people just say things in the heat of the moment and they don't mean it. And as much as we don't deserve to have to deal with those things that are said, it happens. And so I think you just gotta find a way to work through it. And I really do hope that they are able to get to a better place, but it really just isn't seeming like it's very possible. She's carrying a lot of the weight. She's being the breadwinner of the family. it's just a lot. It's a lot, and they're kind of just falling apart right before our eyes, which is kind of sad to watch. But at the same time, I think it makes them so relatable. I think it's one of the more genuine and real relationships on the show, especially compared to Jasmine and Gino. It's just completely different. You see real raw emotions here. And I really wish the 90 Day franchise would focus on couples more so like this, but they don't. Maybe they will. We'll kind of see what they have for us moving forward. Lastly, we have Loren and Alexei. So Loren and Alexei are in Florida, as they have been, and they've gotten a new home, and they're super excited. They finally got out of that really small condo, which I'm happy for them. 3 small kids in a small condo. They were just busting at the seams. So they have their new house. They are so excited about this. Now, the blue marlin. For some odd reason, there's a blue marlin on the wall. We don't know why. It's so ugly. It's so tacky. The Reddit subreddit seems to think that it's kind of staged. It's fake. It's not really their house, which I think was actually pretty smart conspiracy. Let me know what you think. I could see that. I could definitely see that that's not real. I mean, it's so weird. But nonetheless, they're in their new house, and they are going to have a housewarming party. They're going to have their friends over, Yara and Jovi. They're going to have Libby and Andrei. And they're going to have some of their own friends. And so this is the first time that we meet Loren's friend, Noga. Or, as Andrei likes to call her, Doga. Which was pretty funny, actually. So we meet them. They're having a good time. And the conversation comes up about Moldova. This was a really big sore subject. And unfortunately, I guess alcohol was involved. So Loren starts getting a little mouthy about it. She starts getting very pushy about it. The mother needs to be happy. And she's not wrong. The mother does need to be happy. The mother needs to be in a great place. Mom needs to be doing well so that the kids can do well. I completely agree with that. Where she lost me was being so strongly opinionated on something that does not affect her directly. And as we all know, staying in your lane is always just the best place to be. And so she should have stayed in her lane, chose not to, starts kind of getting at it with Andrei, to which her friend Noga, out of nowhere, just starts spiraling, starts yelling, going off on him. I mean, I would have imagined that she's seen this show and she knows what she's doing going up against Andrei, which is not a good idea. We all know he's a very dominant, strong, aggressive personality. If he's going to physically fight Libby's brother, God knows what he's capable of. So I don't know why she chose to get into such a big argument with him, but she did. And that just escalates. And I will give it to Andrei that as much as he was clearly in the wrong, I mean, that's him. He's always in that kind of energy and it's not okay. But he kept composed. He didn't, lose his mind, start screaming, flying off the handles. It was Noga. And she's just losing it. She gets up, she's screaming, she goes into the house. And this is what I thought was weird. And I didn't see this on Reddit. I didn't see anyone talking about it. But she went from speaking perfectly well English to broken sentences. And I didn't understand what transitioned, but she's like not speaking in complete sentences, freaking out inside the house. The kids are there. We see Loren get up, go check on her friend. Andrei told her not to. She made it very clear, that's my friend, I'm checking on her, which she was right to do so. I would hope as a friend you would do something like that. And so they go outside to the parking lot. Loren's holding one of her children. Doga has the other one. And the kids are crying. And it's so sad. And I'm thinking, what kind of place are you in your life that you would spiral like that so strongly in front of people you just met and in front of your children to upset them that way? I mean, if nothing else, protect your kids. Don't put them in that kind of position. And Loren's saying that she's never seen her act like that. This is the first time. Well, very hard to believe that that's the first time she flew off the handles. I don't really buy that, but nonetheless, that's what's going on. And it was just really a sad scene, super unnecessary. Noga leaves. Loren goes back inside. Party's kind of over, super awkward. And as Libby and Andrei are leaving, I felt like this was kind of a jab, but she mentions, lovely house, keep working on it. Libby didn't defend her husband when all that was going on. Everyone can have their opinions on that. You know, would you jump in? Would you not jump in? I think in that kind of heated moment, the best thing to do is either A, kind of stay out of it and let your husband handle that, but not allow him to disrespect another woman, or to diffuse the situation. And Libby kind of froze. She was like shell shocked. And so I felt like the jab at the end was her way of maybe kind of saying something in defense of her husband. But nonetheless, she makes the comment and they all leave. Well, Loren and Alexei seem very uncomfortable, very uneasy. They did not like how that party went, obviously. It was pretty terrible. It did not end well. And they're kind of left thinking, well, what do we do moving forward? We're supposed to hang out again. They're in town. We're spending time together. But they have no option. So they're going to push through. They're going to push ahead. Obviously, I imagine they're all going to have a conversation about it, kind of see everyone's feelings, opinion, make sure everyone's okay afterwards. And yeah, I mean, it was really a good episode. It was not slow. It was not boring, minus Jasmine and Gino. It's such a boring storyline. But besides them, I think everyone did a really great job at bringing the drama. So we saw lots of stuff going on, and fake or not fake, we're going to see Jasmine and Natalie really go at it this season. So I think it's great. I'm excited. I hope you guys are just excited. Tune in next week as we catch up on episode 2. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao.